Hi, my name is Bente, I'm the Norse witch, and these are 5 things that I wish I knew before I started Deity Work. So this is actually a very spontaneous video because I just took a walk, and on this walk I thought about it, and I realized I should make a video about this because Deity Work is something that I feel like nowadays a lot of people that get into witchcraft think they have to do. So kind of learning from my experience about the things that I didn't expect before getting into it. Maybe that will help some people that haven't started it yet. And yeah, for me some things were pretty surprising. I didn't expect them before I started working with my first deity. So yeah, let's get into it. And yes, I am aware I'm not wearing makeup. I actually feel quite cute today without makeup, so I thought, let's just not wear makeup for the couple of videos that I'm filming now. You will have to deal with that. We don't always have to be on our full glam mode on the internet. So yeah, also it's very hot, and if I would do my makeup, I would just sweat it all right off. So no makeup for today it is. I hope that's okay. If not, then just don't watch the video. Who cares? So first of all, and that's actually the thing that I was thinking about and that made me want to make this video, is wow, looking back, Deity Work just not only changed my entire witchcraft practice, like my entire witchcraft and also religious practice, but it actually changed a lot in my entire life. It got me very far. I mean, if I look back, my witchcraft practice looked a lot different than it did before I got into Deity Work. There are so many aspects that I only got into because of the deities that I worked with, and I think it's also very apparent in my normal life because, for example, I would have never started a YouTube channel if it hadn't been for Odin, because it was actually an offering for Odin. It was something that he basically asked for. So I would have never started this channel without having gotten into Deity Work. I also wouldn't have started pole dancing, for example, because that's something that Freya really pushed me towards, I feel like. A lot of things I probably wouldn't have gone to therapy. Like, there are so many things where I have made so much progress in the last couple of years that I probably wouldn't have made without the deities that I worked with, because they were just pushing me into these specific directions, and in these specific directions I have made so much progress. And I can see that these are actually things that all align with the deities that I work with, mainly my 2 main deities, Odin and Freya. These are things that basically all align with those 2. So I feel like they have just pushed me on to so much progress, and that's amazing to see. So probably if you start with Deity Work, I mean, there is a reason why you do that, right? Most people do it for a reason, not just because they want to do something for the deity, but usually they also want to get something back, or they feel like a kinship with the deity or things like that. If you really get into it and you let it happen, because of course if you never do the things that the deities request from you, then of course nothing will happen. But if you actually open up to it and you let it happen, then I feel like Deity Work can be such a huge tool to just completely alter not only your practice but your entire life, and that's crazy to see. Also, another thing that I wouldn't have expected is Deity Work is in a way pretty similar to getting tattoos. Like, you get into it thinking, I will just get one. I will get one tattoo. And everyone who has gotten one tattoo probably knows you won't stop after one tattoo. Even if you got into it thinking, I will just get one tattoo. You think you get one, even more will follow. And for me it was exactly like that. I started just worshipping one deity, then I got into working with one deity, and then even more followed. And then, bam, I found myself being a heathen. That's kind of funny if I look back and I think about the fact that I didn't even believe in deities beforehand. I never really wanted to do anything that had to do with deity work or spirit work or anything like that. And I started working with Odin, or I worshipped Skadi beforehand, but I worked with Odin as my first deity. And then came even more deities after Odin, and bam, I was a heathen. I definitely would have not expected to actually become religious through deity work. I definitely wouldn't have expected that, but I mean, I'm happy about it in hindsight. But that's definitely something I didn't expect when getting into deity work, because I just thought, okay, I will just give some offerings and maybe communicate with Odin a little bit, and maybe I will learn something in the process. I was pretty naive getting into it, looking back, but yeah, a lot happened after that. The first two things that I mentioned were quite positive. Sadly, I also have a negative, because I wouldn't have thought that working with deities would actually be a big point where imposter syndrome comes into play. I feel like my deity and spirit work is the part where I have the most imposter syndrome out of all of my practice. Everything else is kind of not that affected by it, but my deity work and my spirit work is very much affected by it, because of course everyone does it so drastically differently, and everyone gives offerings at different times and at different periods. Like, some people do it daily, some people do it weekly, some people do it monthly, or only on a full moon, or only on special occasions. So everyone just does it so differently, and that's probably where my imposter syndrome comes in. So I definitely struggle a lot when it comes to finding out what kind of schedule works for me with giving offerings. I have tried so many things. I have tried giving daily offerings to all of the gods and goddesses that I work with. I have tried to dedicate one specific day a week to one deity and give them an offering then. But I kind of found out that it just doesn't feel special anymore if I do it that way. I kind of have to feel it, and I don't feel it if I have to do it daily. So I kind of got rid of that, but now I'm again in a cycle where I'm like, do I do it once a month? Do I do it only on a full moon or on a new moon? Or I don't know. I have worked with deities for quite some time now, and I still have not found a schedule that works for me. So that is something that I didn't expect, and I feel like that's also something that probably is more of a problem if you work with several deities, or if you're actually religious and you give offerings to all of the gods and goddesses. If you only work with one deity, that probably won't be that much of a problem, because even if you do it weekly, for example, it will be once a week. That's not that much of a deal. But if you work with, I don't know, 7 deities, then of course it's daily if you want to just give an offering weekly to one deity. So the more deities you work with, the more it will be a struggle. I feel like it's a struggle for a lot of people. Some people just don't struggle with that at all. I know also about people that just give daily offerings and they don't really care if it feels special or not. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's for me also a problem. I have the same problem with like hobbies and stuff. I struggle with keeping things up, so that's definitely a struggle that I didn't expect when I first started deity work. So if you struggle with that, I definitely feel you. Another thing that I wish I knew before I got into deity work is that I would constantly question my mental health. And I think that's a positive and a negative, because I think it's very, very important to always not doubt yourself, but to question everything that you experience, especially when it revolves around communication with spirits and deities, because you could very easily find yourself in some kind of spiritual psychosis state, and you definitely don't want to get there. So definitely questioning what you do all the time is a good thing. But of course, it's also kind of hard when you're constantly questioning what you're experiencing. And I mean, I also did a separate video on that, so if you want to watch that video. I have a separate video on my own experience with spiritual psychosis, and I have my own experience with that, so I'm kind of traumatized when it comes to things like that. So since then I have always constantly doubted everything that I do, but that just is especially prevalent in my deity work and spirit work practice. And as I said, I don't think that's a solely negative thing. I think it's healthy to do it, but it's also sometimes a struggle if you constantly question and doubt all of your experiences. Sometimes I ask for a sign and then I think I got a sign, but I don't know, so I ask for another sign. So sometimes I have to just ask multiple times and get confirmations multiple times from different sources so that I end up actually believing it. Whereas other people who maybe don't doubt it as much, they would be okay with one sign. I mean, I'm in general bad with signs, but yeah, it's a little bit of a struggle. A healthy struggle, but it is a struggle. And then lastly, something that I definitely didn't expect before I got into deity work is that it would bring other types of spirit work with it. So for example, for me, I think the most obvious thing is ancestor work. I was not interested in working with my ancestors or venerating them or doing anything surrounding my ancestors before I got into deity work, but then I started working with hell pretty closely, and through hell I stumbled into ancestor work, and through working with my ancestors I stumbled into so many other things. So that kind of also plays into the first thing that I talked about, just completely altering and transforming my practice, but especially with spirit work, because I feel like deity work was basically the first thing that I did when it came to spirits and entities and anything like that. And afterwards that kind of just snowballed, and now spirit work and deity work is like probably the main thing that I do. And I didn't expect that beforehand because, as I said, I mean, I was kind of an animist. I definitely believed that anything in the natural world had a spirit and stuff, but I didn't really work with those spirits. Whenever I, for example, used herbs or crystals in my practice, I just used them as ingredients. I didn't address their spirits and communicated with them or anything like that. And now I'm basically working with the spirits of anything. My tarot deck has a spirit, my rune sets have spirits, the sigils and the bind runes that I create definitely have spirits. Starting with deity work, that kind of snowballed into more spirit work, especially ancestor veneration, which is kind of cool because, as I said, that opened me up to so many more new, interesting experiences. So it was definitely very, very valuable. But that was not something that I planned on, and I feel like that's just the case with a lot of deities. I mean, of course, it always depends on which deities you work with. Probably if you start working with a very nature-related deity, then maybe you would more get into local spirits or elves, fairies, some kinds of plant spirits maybe. But yeah, for me with hell, that was definitely a lot of ancestor veneration. Alright, and those were the 5 things that I wish I knew before I got into deity work. If you work with deities and there are some things that you wish you knew before, or that you maybe didn't expect that would come with it, then definitely put them in the comments. As always, let's have a little chat about it. Also, as always, before I end this video, patron shout out. Thank you so much to Lisa, Brittany, Nick, Sean, Emrys, Celine, Smolkata, Josh, Virginie, Joseph, Elinura, David, Christine, Rixie Business, Valo, Annalena, Ashley, Glacier, Fabienne, Anna, Laura, Kristen, John, Phoenix, Anton, Jenny, Maggie, Misty, Amy, Colette, Timothy, Coffee, or the Honorary Gossip Squirrel, and Bjorn. Thank you so much. As always, I really hope you enjoyed this short, little chatty video, the spontaneous one. If you did, make sure to subscribe and of course give a thumbs up and ring the bell if you want to stay on top of my new videos. Of course, you can check out my other socials and my online shop for sustainably and ethically sourced witchcraft and paganism tools. And if you want to maybe support me, then you can check out my Patreon. And I will see you in the next video. Bye!